But for now, I do have to invite Florian back to the stage where he's going to actually give you some practical advice as well as some tips on how to really create engaging Figma surveys. So if you'd like to welcome Florian to the stage, thank you very much.
All right, so I'm back for those of you that watched my talk earlier. So it's sort of a short workshop on designing and building forms in Figma. It's really hands-on, so let me just set up here. If you have any questions in the meanwhile, not while I'm setting up, but while I'm doing this, feel free to just ask for the mic, or actually come up and ask me, because I don't have a headphone, so I won't be able to hear you either way. Let me see. So for those of you that didn't see my talk this morning, I'll switch up the... That's better. I'll quickly run through sort of the context to give you an idea of like why in God's name would you want to design forms in Figma to start out with. I'm not going to redo my entire presentation for those of you that were at the presentation. It's just setting the context, and then I'll switch over to Figma. It's a live demo workshop kind of thing, so praying of course to the demo gods that nothing goes wrong, which is the thing not to say in the beginning, but okay. So a quick work on design and aesthetics in forms and survey design. So gut feeling says like, okay, aesthetics are an important thing when you're doing a survey or a form. It might impact your response rates or the quality of your data. At least I remember the Typeform ad saying like, oh, surveys like this, and then you would see a form in Comic Sans, I think, get responses like that, and somebody typing in gibberish in an input field. And besides the marketing aspect and the gut feeling aspect of it, there's also ample research that showcases that, yes, the aesthetics, the UI and the UX of your form actually impact not only the response rate, but also the quality of the data that you get from your survey or your form in general. And so in talking to our users and in doing a lot of market research on the subject, we sort of discovered that you're stuck in between a rock and a hard place when you're designing surveys or forms today. On the one hand, you have your easy and quick and dirty solutions like Google Forms, extremely rapid to set up a survey, but of course you're very limited in what you can do from a design perspective. And then on the other hand, you have your Typeform and your high-end tools, which typically cost a lot more. They provide sort of great out-of-the-box building blocks, so you know your survey is going to look well and it's going to behave well. But of course, you're still rather limited in the extent to which you can start customizing forms and surveys. So besides going to custom CSS and actually adding your own code to your Typeform, you're stuck with whatever Typeform provides you out of the box. And so we decided to switch that up. There's an entire story behind it, but that was from my previous talk. And basically build a form builder on top of Figma. So I'll showcase you how that works in a second. But the idea is that you design your form whatever way you want it to be, hands-free in Figma. And our plugin and our platform is going to take that design of yours and turn it into a survey, a web form that you can go ahead and share with users. So that's the entire idea, no limits whatsoever. You design it completely the way you want, and then we turn that into a web survey or a web form. So that's rather abstract, which is the reason, of course, behind this workshop. So let me end the slideshow right here. And let me set up screen mirroring, that will be better. Okay. So, for those of you that are sitting in the audience thinking, what the hell is Figma to start out with? This is Figma. For all intents and purposes, it's Microsoft Paint, but on steroids, in a sense that you can basically just draw anything you want. It's mostly used for interface design, sometimes for graphic design, but it's an online drawing tool, right? It's a collaborative drawing tool. We're this plugin that you install on top of it, which brings you sort of form-specific functionality to it. And starting point, of course, is the creation of a form. So let me quickly create a form. Let's call it Esomar. No, let's actually call it demo. It's better. You can start out from scratch with just a blank form, or of course you can generate with AI. So we're going to use that option. That's going to sort of make it easier and supercharge the workshop with pre-made questions. So we're going to say, okay, you're organizing a conference called Supercharge. Well, the nice thing is actually, with AI, the typos are automatically filtered out. You're surveying attendees for overall satisfaction. Create a short There we go. So, as is usually the case with AI, the more you provide it, the better the output will be. This is just for the matter of the workshop, of course. So we're going to go ahead and see what it creates for us, using this as a prompt. Of course, that's what I said. You never know. See what it does. There we go. Okay, so what it generates is basically two parts. So on the left hand, you have your component library. So this is basically the kinds of questions that are used in the survey, or that you can reuse if you want to sort of further extend it. And these provide you with the generic template. So this isn't very pretty to start out with, but you can start and customize this and customize those components if you want to reuse them. On the right here, we have the actual sort of survey or form that it came up with. Let me drag that out to make it a bit prettier, which is whatever AI came up with. So as usual, it's a good first draft. You can then later on, of course, customize it to make it a bit more interesting. But so what we have here is already a basic form which can actually go live. So we can hit the publish button and check this out in our web browser. So we have our form here. We can start interacting with this. We can already start sharing this with users. It looks bland, but it'll do the job, right? So it's kind of weird to ask to rate on a scale of 1 to 5 with an input box. So that's what AI gives you, right? So typically what you wouldn't do as a researcher. Let's quickly type in something here. Press submit. And okay, form has been submitted. If I now go back to Figma, I can see the results flowing in the plugin itself, or if I want to have a larger view on the data, I can open up my spreadsheet, see the data come in, and download that as a CSV. So we have a design in Figma, we created a web form out of that, and we can already start sharing with users. The whole point of Figma, of course, is that it enables you to be hands-free in the designs that you want to make. So we can basically start customizing this absolutely to our liking. So we can start changing fonts, making stuff bold. We can start changing the color, for example, of specific elements to match our branding and our style. So you're completely free in the way that you want to design your form, which sometimes is a blessing, sometimes a curse, of course. If you want something quick and standardized, this is not the way to go. But if you want something which is more customized, which you can do with another tool, of course, this allows you to be as creative as you want in the building of your form. Of course, we can also later always add different types of questions. So we have a radio button question and some short answers. We can add checkboxes and drop-downs, and then they will automatically be added to our component library. We can start dragging, dropping these into our form, or we can decide to add additional frames, basically additional pages to our survey. Drag this here, copy paste this. So say that, for example, I would like to have this radio button question on a different page because it's a different section or it's a different part of my survey. Then I can go ahead and create a new page, remove the submit button here. I'll need a next page button, which I can start customizing as well to be something else than this purple button, of course, but I'm not going to go into detail on this for the moment. And then I can simply add this as a new form page in my form. We hit publish, and automatically my survey is updated live. So now I can go next page and then submit. So you're really quickly able to customize, A/B test your surveys, design them in Figma, and ship them live to the web. Now, I talked about the importance of aesthetics. This isn't sort of the most aesthetic survey that I could have come up with. Of course, it's all automatically generated. But that's why I asked somebody that actually has some sense of aesthetics to design a quick survey in Figma, which is like supercharged themed, so it's all 8-bit and pretty arcade-like, which is this from a design perspective. From an actual form perspective, it looks like this. So we have something which is really custom. Like you wouldn't be able to do this with any other form builder. It's really on brand and on theme for Supercharge and Esomar. So I can start typing in here. I can use this like you would use any other form, but it's like extremely custom. You would have to custom code this if you want to do it any other way. And it automatically also sort of adapts and is mobile responsive. To showcase that to you, you can scan this QR code and load that survey into your, well, I'm guessing your mobile device. And actually, if you're interested in answering that question, it would actually help me as well. The questions aren't just there for fun. So if you would like to answer the question, that would be awesome. So you see also that's a way of sharing it. So you can share it as a link. So the survey on its own, the way you would do a type form or you would do a Google form. But given that we're generating web code, you can also start embedding it in a product, or you can embed it on a website. To give you an idea, we, of course, use our own form builder on our website, right? So this is our landing page, our newsletter subscription page, for example. This form has been designed in Figma and has been translated into web form using Weebly. So you have something which sort of completely blends into your website or completely blends into your product as if it was hand-developed by a developer. But you can quickly change it any way you see fit. You can ask your marketeer to create a form which is as custom as this without having to basically bug development for you to help you with building that form. So I think a last part which is important, I'll leave the QR code up if somebody still wants to scan it. One of the last things which is sort of novel in the way that using Figma as the UI editor for your forms is that you get collaboration for free out of the box. So Figma is a collaborative tool. Everybody can sort of join in the same file and start editing at the same time. And so obviously that also becomes the case for the forms that you're building. So I can go ahead and open up my Slack. And I can ask our marketeer to join in and sort of look at the survey that we've built and customize it and update it any further. So I can ask her to join in. She'll head into the file, and then she will sort of update or not update, depending on how happy she is with the results in Figma itself. And I'll be able to just simply republish the changes as we go and end up with a new survey. So waiting up for Tatiana to join in the file. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Figma, the arrow coming in, that's Tatiana. She's able to sort of inspect the survey as I've made it, and then she can change it any way she sees fit. You have a comment option as well in Figma to sort of leave comments together. So you really have a collaborative tool to edit and change your surveys in real time, like you don't have in any other kind of form rail. So she changed the color of the button here because apparently I left it in purple, and I can go ahead and hit publish, and automatically my form here, which is here, is going to reflect the changes that have been made by Tatiana. So now we have a yellow button, which is more on brand with the way that it would have looked in the previous version. So that's a very quick rundown of how you can build forms and surveys in Figma using our plugin. So of course, I'm very happy to take questions here today, but you can also always send me an email. You can use everything that I've shown for free. Actually, you can use everything for free. We're in open beta, so we're looking for feedback rather than money. So by all means, if you try it out, send me an email and be completely bluntly honest, because we're sort of building this early product, so feedback is gold for us right now. And yeah, I'm always open to sort of questions or discussions afterwards as well. Thanks a lot.
Do we have any questions for Florian? Well, like he said, he's going to be around, so if you'd like to catch him for a coffee, I'm sure he's more than happy to elaborate. That's not true. I found a question for you.
Hi, Florian. Oh, okay. Hi.
Hey.
I was just looking at the survey that you had just showed. Wonderful stuff. I was just wondering, like, how advanced you can work on the survey skills. Like, for example, I want to pipe an answer. All those specifications, can it be done already, or?
What do you mean exactly by pipe an answer?
So let's say I'm looking for specific, I want to ask a follow-up question for only those people who answered a specific option, let's say. So all those advanced features, could it be done in your Waverly form?
Yep.
Yeah, plugin.
So that's something that we're adding as we speak.
Okay,
We expect to launch it in a week or two, because indeed sort of at least the bare minimum of logic is something that you would expect from a form builder.
Yeah.
So we're starting off with sort of skipping, or like hiding and showing questions, or skipping questions depending on the answer, but also providing more context in the sense that, say your question should include part of the answer of the previous question, or you answered apples, why do you like apples so much?
Exactly.
Without having to, if you have like 10 options, create 10 other questions, but just being able to say, oh, I have a variable here, which should contain the answer to the previous question.
Exactly, okay.
So this is all kind of stuff that we're adding to the plugin as we speak.
That's great to hear. Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very interesting.
Thanks.
Before attending the presentation, my expectations were to see something that basically can fit the Figma testing environment. We do a lot of Figma testing on mobile application for our bank. And right now, what we do basically during the focus groups or user experience, customers or respondents, they try the new features on Figma, and then there is like an interaction or follow-up surveys. So it will be interesting if this can fit the same environment. So while they are doing the testing on the app, on the new features, it will be interesting if we can have like pop-up questions or survey within that same environment, knowing that you are using Figma. So I'm not sure how this can be developed or.
When you say environment, you mean the prototyping overview of Figma itself,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So that's one thing that unfortunately is not part of the API of Figma yet. So they open up the API to the editor part, but you can't change anything from a prototyping point of view. So as soon as you hit that play button, plugins don't have access to what happens. So we can't overlay ourselves on an existing prototype or change the way that a Figma prototype behaves as of yet, but they're adding a lot of stuff as we go. But we've seen that use case with amongst other like physical products. So having our kind of surveys run next to a physical product so that people could leave feedback as they were going through a prototype. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions? No? Well, Florian, I think that's it. Thank
Thanks
you
a lot.
very much for your time.